You have to optimize your personal brand. It's about the grind, folks. If you're not working weekends, you don't want it enough.
He's a lazy bear.
You can't just sit there. They took everything. What are we gonna do?
Okay, we're on time this time. Spray on polymer shield. You know, I read that wrong. That was the wrong emphasis. Let's try again. Boop. You received this text this morning. I only buy products from the homeless. Spray on polymer shield helps the plants fight bacteria and survive drought. New UC San Diego spray on polymer helps plants resist bacteria and stay healthier during drought. Friends, today there's a theme of spraying things on things to make them more effective. Let's start with number 1. Wow, that's beautiful. Look at that. So lush. Oh, wow. All right. On a warming planet, your food supply demands on crops that can survive heat, drought, and fast-spreading diseases. Now, engineers at the University of California, San Diego have built a spray-on shield for plants that can help them endure both bacterial infections and dry spells. Wow. Ooh, that's handy. Why plants need a new kind of armor. Bacterial diseases already cause a huge crop loss worldwide, but then are we going to eat that? What's that going to do to us? Okay, maybe we'll get them. Why plants need a new kind of armor. Bacterial diseases already cause huge crop losses worldwide. Gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria trigger wilt, blight, speck, and canker in many major crops. What is a crop canker? As temperature rises, these pathogens are moving into new regions. So fields must meet more unfamiliar threats each time. Drought resistance. Okay, uncoated leaves. Coated leaves. Wow, look at that. So it's retaining the moisture, it seems. It's late. Okay, at the same time, drought is hitting farms more often and more intensely. Oh no. Plants are thirsty, they weaken and become easier targets for infection. Okay. The double hit threatens the food on your plate and pushes prices up at your grocery store. Current tools include many pesticides and antibiotics, but can help but bring problems. They may harm non-target organisms, leaving residues and losses and lose power as microbes evolve resistance. Farmers and scientists are looking for plant-friendly tools. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Building a plant-safe antibacterial spray. What about a people-safe also bacterial spray? The team designed a synthetic polymer with positively charged chemical groups along its backbone. Oh, jeez. The key twist came from... Where did it come from? The key... How they made with the material. Typically, polymers are synthesized using organic solvents that are toxic to plants. What we did differently was we made the polymer in buffer conditions in water. Wow, science. Graph. Let's keep going. That change sounds simple, but it matters for you and your farmers. It means the material can be dissolved directly in water and sprayed without plant-harming solvents or complicated steps. The polymer belongs to a class called polynormarine and is permeable to gases, so coated leaves can still breathe and grow. The scientists sprayed their formulations onto leaves Nicotiana pentamiana. I don't know why I sounded like different language right there, but here we are. A plant widely used in labs and molecular farming. What? That's crazy. Okay. I wonder why. It has like special plant elements. I don't know. Okay. Full leaf coverage was not necessary to achieve protection. We can spray just a small part of the leaf. Okay, look at that small part. Before coating, after coating. Neat. Coated area. Dry coat. Coated area. Formation of the polymeric film on adaxial surface of the Nicotiana and Benthamiana leaves after spray coating. How a small spray sparks a whole plant defense. Why would treating a small patch shield the entire plant? The team traced possible answer in one of the plant's early stress signals. Leaves that received the polymer briefly showed a mild spike in hydrogen peroxide, which is not just a disinfectant. In plants, it also works as a signaling molecule that spreads the message that stress has arrived. In the study, the signal was short-lived, then declined as the plant returned to a healthy state. The researchers suspect that this short pulse may prime defenses throughout the plant. In other words, the coating may not only kill bacteria on contact, it may also teach the plant to stay alert. That combined effect could explain why limited coverage goes a long way, helping the plants ride out dry spells. So cool, it's like plant x-rays, what? Just kidding, so you'd be like, the scientists think that the polymer may act as a thin physical barrier that slows water loss from the leaf surfaces. At the same time, the mild stress signal it triggers could awaken deeper drought tolerance pathways inside the plant. For growers, that combination is powerful. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's, it's late. Just going to get a little smidgen, a little sprinkle, a little taste. Our hope is to use this in the field to benefit agriculture, and this is the first step. Optensteinen said. I don't think I said that right. I'm sorry. There's a lot of potential for plant protection. Oh, wonderful. We love to see it. We love to see it. And eat it. Hopefully it's good for us. USDA lays out FBA payment details. What is FBA? Farmer something. Farmer Bridge Assistance. All right. Oh, this is so small. Ooh. Okay, all right. Well, I guess there we go. USDA on Wednesday released the per acre payment rates for the $11 billion Farmer Bridge Assistance Program. The FBA was announced earlier this month by President Donald Trump. FBA payments will go to farmers based on 225 plant acres. The formula created for payments was based on the World Agriculture Supply and Demand Estimate, WASDE, a report as well as reports on planted acres. USDA noted that prevented planting acres are not eligible for FBA payments. Oh, whoa. For producers of the largest commodity crops, the per acre payments break down as follows. Corn, 44.36 an acre. Soybean, 30.88. Wheat, 39.35. Cotton, 117.35. Sorghum, 48.11. Barley, 20.51. Rice, 132.89. The payment limit will be 100,000, 155,000 per entity or individual. Unlike other aid programs, USDA will not require linkage for crop insurance to receive payment. USDA thoroughly also strongly urges farmers to use crop insurance. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Farm income has declined since hitting its peak in 2022 as commodity prices have fallen while input prices have remained high. These one-time payments give farmers the bridge to continue to feed and clothe America and the world while the administration continues opening new markets and strengthening the farm safety net. Okay, that's good. I hope that serves us all well. Why farmers are shielding their crops with solar panels. Okay, first we had sprays, now we've got panels, then we've got farmer aid. Boom, plants like sunlight. Yes, it's true, it helps them grow. So it is understandable that many people think the more sunlight, the better. But you know what, these plants, I had a garden one time, and the leafy greens did not like it. They were like, what's it called? I think it's called bolting. They'd get mad and be like, we're done now. Oh. And then they'd flower up and throw their seeds and stop growing. So sad. So I see that, yeah. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. This is why farmers are doing something just a little bit odd, purposefully covering their crops with solar panels. Agrivoltaics, where the solar shade equals a shield for food crops and farmers. That's neat. Agrivoltaics can provide up to 14 services: renewable electricity generation, Great. Decreased greenhouse gas emissions, reduced climate change, increased crop yield, plant protection from excess solar energy, plant protection from inclement weather such as hail, water conservation. Well, that's not protecting the solar panels though, but local food, improved health from pollution, reduction increased revenue for farmers, a hedge against inflation, the potential to produce nitrogen fertilizer on farm production of renewable fuels like anhydrous ammonia or hydrogen, electricity for EV charging for on or off farm use. There we go. Fun. With experiments from all over the world, we know now agrivoltaics can benefit crop yields for broccoli, celery, corn, grapes, kale, lettuce, pasture grass, peppers, potatoes, strawberries, tomatoes, and more. The reason this works and farmers enjoy yield increases is because the microclimate created under the solar panels. As you might suspect, in the shade it is cooler, that helps conserve water and protects plants from excess sun, wind, hail, and soil erosion. In the end, farmers enjoy more food per acre. This means more economic stability for hardworking farmers and maybe less sticker shock for us. Okay, neat. Solar farming is growing. That's so crazy that it's called that. You think, of course, solar farming. Of course, farms need sun. Okay, just my thoughts. Okay, growing as more and more farmers join forces with solar industry. In Europe, countries like Germany, France, and Italy now have complete agrivoltaic laws, and solar panels are tested even on what might thought of radical crops like fruit trees. Who would have thought purposefully shading a tree would get you more fruit? Wow, okay, I wouldn't have thought. In China, agrivoltaics is literally being used to erase deserts. Wow, that's kind of interesting. It turns out you can shade a wasteland, make a nice habitat for plants with solar panels, then even the desert will retreat. Ooh. Ugh. Is shielding crops with solar energy really good for the environment? Yes, there have been several environmental studies in agrivoltaics. It really does help the environment and can even boost biodiversity. The most straightforward is environmental life cycle analysis of agrivoltaics, which looked at its environmental impact from its conception. The study found that these solar shielded farms emit 69% less carbon, 83% less fossil energy compared to separate food farms and solar farms based production. Wow, neat. So I'm not gonna read this whole study, but it looks interesting. We'll do a little knob by the hair of my skimmy skim. Yes, okay, no, it won't actually. It wasn't that long, but I couldn't read it. I'm so sorry. I'll include it in the links though. Okay, large scale model study. I said okay like 30 times. Okay, I won't try not to say it anymore. Almost just said it right then. Crap. It identifies 23 levers, calculates their effectiveness, and concludes a decisive transformation of this sector alone without the indispensable energy transition can limit the global temperature increase to 1.85 Celsius above pre-industrial levels by 2050. Okay. Oh, it's just talking about a study. I don't know about this one. It's too long. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This one kind of creeped me out like a lot actually. FDIC clears way for Ford General Motors to set up industrial banks. Ugh. The FDIC announced on Thursday that it had approved deposit insurance applications from Ford Motor Company and General Motors, clearing the way for the auto manufacturers to establish industrial banks and begin providing financial services. Why? The conditional approvals, which require the companies to stand up lending arms within 12 months, were granted because the firms met the legal requirements. The banks will both be established in Utah. The approvals are the latest development in a long-running feud between some companies and the banking industry. Traditional lenders have argued against the so-called industrial loan charters, saying it allows commercial firms to improperly engage in banking without sufficient oversight. Proponents of the charters argue it allows firms to provide limited financial services to customers. Ford said on its website the new bank will be a long-term strategic initiative that will expand our capabilities, enable us to offer additional savings options to customers. Is it savings or is it savings? The spokesperson for General Motors did not immediately respond to a request for comment. When the company submitted its latest banking app in January, it said it would focus on auto lending and deposits. The Independent Community Bankers of America vocally opposed the application, arguing in 2022 that Ford's bid would skirt regulatory oversight and violate long-standing U.S. policy separating banking and commerce. Banks that operate under industrial charters are not required to establish bank holding companies, which would subject them to additional oversight from the Federal Reserve. Thank you, Peter Schroeder. Very much. Have a good night. All right, last two. Here we go. So close. And it's only 15 minutes. Wow. Okay, I'm powering through this. Who would you fire? Oh, this one I thought was so sad. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's mean. It was mean. What did they do? Okay. Which one of your colleagues would you put up to be sacked if you had to nominate someone? That's so rude. Gosh. Categories were employees offering to take voluntary redundancy, part-time employees, employees with no families to support, and the youngest employees. A fifth category. Wow. Ouch. A fifth category, other. Invited stats to suggest their own categories. The latter was described as a cruel game by the Italian Metal Workers Union. Jesus shifted responsibility for job cuts onto the staff themselves, adding that asking staff to sign their responses had increased the psychological pressure. We won't let staff be forced into this humiliating game. Good, I hope not. Sheesh. The company defended its decision, telling the Italian news agency ANSA, "This is the only internal survey to test the climate inside of the firm. Our sector is facing crisis, and our aim is to avoid layoffs." Blue Echo's website says the company is known worldwide for its tachometer coils for washing machines, and that its young and motivated staff are ready and willing to accept new challenges constantly, thrive in positive and communicative working environments with dynamic management team at the helm. Chiara Appendino, MP at the opposition of Five Star Party, said the letter turned jobs into prizes in a reality TV show where you survive if you get through the viewers' vote, while the others are eliminated. Goodness gracious. The story made the front pages of Italian newspapers Friday. The leading daily Corriere della Sera called the letter an exercise in sadism disguised as participatory democracy. Wow, beautifully stated. This hands the victim the responsibility for their sentencing, depriving them of the right to complain. Sheesh Louise. Yeah, I know that was kind of a bummer, but I just thought, oh, glad I'm not that person who had to fill out that chart. Was it one of those like was it one of those what is it? What did they do that? I had an anonymous survey one time. They're like, "It's anonymous, doesn't have your name on it." And I was like, "I'm the only other person in my department, so this doesn't exist." It's not a thing. Anyway. Okay, this one was so cool. I thought it's a little bit older. From 21. Okay, biotherapeutics. I'm not 100% clear on what that is, but we'll see. Here's another spray type of vehicle. Chemical engineers created a coating for microbes that can make them easier to deploy the organisms to treat gastrointestinal diseases. The human gut is home to thousands of species of bacteria, and some of those bacteria have the potential to treat a variety of gastrointestinal diseases. Some species may help to combat colon cancer, while others could help treat or prevent infections such as C. difficile. One of the obstacles to developing these living biotherapeutics is that many of the species could be beneficial or harmed by oxygen, making it difficult to manufacture, store, and deliver them. MIT chemical engineers have now shown that they can protect those bacteria with a coating that helps them to survive the manufacturing process. In a study appearing today in the Journal of American Chemical Society, the researchers showed that they could use the coating on a strain of E. coli as well as another species that may aid in digestion of plant starches. The coating could be applied to many other species as well. We believe this coating could be used to protect pretty much any microbe of interest. Oh, That's so cool. We think there are microbes out there that can help with a variety of diseases and that we can protect them for manufacture and production. Fun. Most of the microbes that live in a human gut are anaerobic and they have varying degrees of sensitivity to oxygen. Some can tolerate a little bit, while for others, oxygen is deadly. This makes it difficult to test their potential as treatments for human disease because bacteria needed to be freeze-dried and formulated as capsule in order to be used therapeutically. In study, first, and her colleagues decided to try protecting the anaerobic bacteria by coating them with a material made from metal ions and organic compounds called polyphenols. When polyphenols and metal ions are put into a solution, they form a two-dimensional grid-like sheet. For this study, the researchers used iron, which is safe for human consumption, and 3 polyphenols that are classified as gross, generally regarded as safe by the FDA: gallic acid, tannic acid, and epigallocatechin. I don't know. No, don't know. Sorry, scientists, all of which are found in tea and other plant products. If bacteria are also added to the solution, the material self-assembles into coating on individual bacterial cells. This coating protects bacteria during the freeze-drying and manufacturing process. The researchers showed that the coated cells were healthy and able to perform normal cellular activities, deploying the bacteria. One of the strains that the researchers used to test the coating, Bacteroides. Nope, I'm not going to try with that one. This species, which has enzymes specialized to digest carbohydrates, appears to be more abundant in the gut microbiome of healthy people. However, it has been difficult to study how these bacteria might promote health if given as biotherapeutics because they are very sensitive to oxygen. If we remove the need for cold storage and transport, we think it could make a lot of therapeutics more widely available. Well, that'd be neat, yeah, because you can just do it dry, you know. That's all we've got, folks. It's 21 minutes in, and I hope you have a beautiful day, beautiful life. Love you so much. Bye.